What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and welcome back to Vic Drives. My name is Vic, and this video is for all you guys out there that might be looking for some new wheels right after graduation. You guys asked for it, and here it is. This is my Civic. This is not a video about this Civic. I just ran out of gas in the Merc, so I had to bring this to the shoot today. So this video is just going to be for all you guys out there that might have just graduated from college or high school and are looking for a new car to kind of, you know, get to whatever your next destination in life is. And considering that it's graduation season and a bunch of people are graduating from high school, and actually a bunch of my friends graduated from college this past weekend, so congratulations to you guys. I figured what better time than now to tell you guys or give you guys some suggestions for what cars might be good entry-level cars to get into for that next step in your life. So let's get right into the list. And first up on the list of vehicles is the Honda Civic. Surprise, surprise. But literally ask anybody what is an entry-level car between 20 and 30K, and if they don't tell you that the Civic's on that list, they're just lying to you. The Civic has a few pros and a few cons. So obviously Civics are eco cars, especially with the CVT transmission. They're geared more towards economic driving than they are performance driving. If you're looking for a more performance spec vehicle, they do have the SI, which comes with a 6-speed manual transmission that is fantastic. Very easy to learn on, very easy for first-time drivers. Definitely worth a look, but obviously a little pricier than some of the lower trim levels. They do have class-leading storage capacity. The trunk on this vehicle can fit me in it, and the rear seating isn't terrible, but it's decent enough.
Seriously? You're gonna sit in the back?
Yeah. That's the safest part of a car. In the event of a crash, driver always protects his side first.
But obviously not as comfortable as a four-door. But then as you get to some of the cons of the vehicle, your infotainment system, especially in this one, really bothers me. So Honda has this way of kinda trying new things, but then not nailing them on the head. So there's no volume knob in this car. It's just a slider up and down, which is weird. Obviously there are ways around it. You have the steering wheel controls, so we make do, but it's strange, you know? And then I feel like a lot of the technology aspects, I've heard like the blind spot assists and, you know, a lot of the safety features on the road are kind of iffy, and so, you know, if you're kind of picky about those things, then definitely make sure that you verify that they're all working if you do decide to go this route. And next up on the list, another Japanese eco box, actually direct competition to the Civic, the Toyota Corolla. Also available with a manual transmission and about like 100 different trim levels. I think there's an L all the way to an XSE, and I believe there's a hybrid as well. Toyota's really big on that hybrid game right now, so you get a gas engine that makes like 130 or 140 horsepower, but then you pair that with an electric motor that makes around 70 extra. So it's decent power, the car will move just fine. As for tech, Toyota totally takes the bag here. You have Apple CarPlay, and there's safety features, Toyota Sense.
Thank you. I never let anyone walk behind me. 7 out of 10 attacks are from the rear.
Okay, well that still leaves a 30% chance that I'll attack you from the front.
Yeah, but it'll be easier to stop. I can always block the blow, or I can counter it with it.
This is next level. It's totally perfected, fantastic system, blind spot indicators, the whole suite of things. It's too much to get into. But aside from that, the ride quality is super smooth, super nice. For those of you that are commuting long distances, definitely something to look into. And not to mention that it also has the sedan option as well as the hatchback now, which I think looks fantastic. And it also shares the platform with the Mazda 3, so that's another option. If you don't want to go Toyota, you can look at Mazda. As for cons of the Corolla, however, there are a few. The first off being that because it is an EcoBox, you'll have the same issue that you actually have with the Civic. The Corolla, if you're just getting the NA engine, is a bit obnoxious. It will make a lot of noise as you try to rev it out. So if that's something that might bother you, definitely take a look before purchasing it, obviously. Another issue, this is kind of a weird one, but it seems like Toyota really has a preference towards Apple users. You get Apple CarPlay, and the whole suite of things is kind of geared more towards Apple than it is towards Android. There's no Android Auto available at all. And then finally, to top it off, kind of the same issue as the Civic again, is they switched to CVT transmissions because obviously a CVT transmission will allow you to get better fuel economy, but they're just not very good. I don't know what it is, but you kind of take more of a focus towards the economy side, and I feel like they just don't put the power down well enough for a daily drivable car. Quick break here. Guys, if you're enjoying the video, definitely be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends. I have a ton of other video ideas coming up in the future, so if this doesn't quite suit your taste, then maybe something else will. And we'll kind of go from there. I'm trying to figure this out at the same time that I'm doing it, so if you guys have any feedback, definitely leave that in the comment section below. Number 3 on our list, and the last front-wheel drive vehicle we have, is the Volkswagen Golf. Obviously, again, there's a ton of trim options, so you can kind of pick and choose and see which one is best for you, but as for transmission options, you have the manual transmission, which is fantastic, and actually I believe they have a dual clutch as well, which is a lot better than the CVT if you ask me. Really quick, really responsive, and definitely worth looking into if you can't or don't want to get the manual option. As for everything else, the handling is fantastic, power delivery is great, and all in all, it actually feels a lot more luxurious than you would expect for a car that you're paying this much for. So like I said, it is front-wheel drive, but it is very capable being a front-wheel drive car. I've had issues in the rain with this car. I don't know if that's just me or if that's a common thing, but I've spun the wheels on this in just the rain. But another thing, and probably a really big thing, is if you do a lot of highway driving or you're traveling far distances and maybe you're not sitting in traffic so much, but you know, highway drives, the Golf has fantastic sound management, and by that I mean insulation from road noise. So at highway speeds, a lot of these lower level cars, you'll get a lot of noise coming in from your tires and all sorts of other sources. The Golf just doesn't have any of that. But again, like most vehicles, this might not be the one for you if you have an issue with any of these cons that I have on this list. First up, it's not really a con, but it might be a deterring factor for some people. The Golf is only available in a hatchback form, so it's not available in a sedan like the Civic and Corolla are. The American market doesn't really care for hatchbacks. Obviously, I love them, but I'm kind of in the minority here. So that could be a deterring factor. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then, you know, maybe go look somewhere else. But if it's not, then great. As for other things, probably the biggest factor is if you plan on working on your own car, the Golf is a German vehicle. So like I mentioned in last week's or the week before's video, you're gonna need specialty tools for a lot of things. And unfortunately, that's just what it is, but this would allow you to build your collection if you are somebody that likes working on your cars. So, you know, something to look into. And then last but not least, obviously this isn't too much of a deal breaker if you've kind of gotten past everything else and you are looking at this car. Your fuel economy isn't as great as the EcoBoxes mentioned before, but in terms of the performance that you're getting and the bang for buck, I don't think it really matters. Alright, and now that we're here, let me get the only all-wheel drive vehicle on our list out of the way. the Subaru WRX. Now, this one is a little more on the pricey side, but it's worth the money. So, the WRX, let's first start with the power figures. 268 horsepower, which makes for a nice, neat 0 to 60 time of about 5.5 seconds, which is fantastic value for what you're paying for. In addition, your all-wheel drive system, which if you know anything about Subaru, you know is kind of their thing, is next level, really. You will not have any issues driving in the snow, driving on the road. It helps with like your normal day-to-day handling, in addition to being fantastic in the snow. And then on top of that, you have all the creature comforts you could ever want. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Your interior is pretty luxurious as well. Well, first off on the list of things that aren't so great about the car might be that it takes premium fuel. So you're burning more cash per mile than you would be on the other vehicles. But you'd be having a lot more fun, so you know, fun versus money, that's I guess a debate that you have to take yourself. And another thing is that there have been quite a few reports that have said that as you get higher in the mileage range, you might have some more expensive maintenance issues. So that might be something worth looking into if you are looking to get one of these. And is any list of recommended cars for first-time buyers really complete until you recommend the Subaru BRZ or Toyota 86, Scion FRS? Well, Scion's not a company anymore, so just the first two. But let's just stick with the Subaru BRZ in this case. Your infotainment system comes straight out of pretty much every other Subaru, so it's pretty top-notch, pretty quick, responsive. Comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and you have all your other creature comforts, so it's a pretty comfortable place to be. Handling is fantastic. You get the smooth shifting 6-speed manual transmission, and all in all, it's just a pretty nice car to drive. As for things that might not be so great about it, you do have to compromise a little bit on interior quality. There is a lot of plastic inside. But you know, that's kind of typical for most of the cars that have been on this list so far, unless you go for like the top of the line models. But this car doesn't really focus on luxury as much as it does on performance, if you will. I say if you will because there are definitely a lot of complaints that the car isn't as powerful as it should be, and that it could use a turbo or something straight out of the factory. But the car is great for you if you're looking to kind of just commute in something that feels a little more sports car-y, sports car-like, sports car-y. Let's just do another one here. The Nissan 350, well, I guess the 370Z, although they're pretty much the same car. So the 370Z is a small car. You only have 2 seats in it, similar to the BRZ that we just mentioned. But it's nimble, it's sporty. It does feel a little bit heavy, but it does still come with a manual transmission. It makes really good power. I think the base model is around 332 horsepower, and it will do a 0 to 60 sprint in just about 5 seconds. There are some disadvantages to buying a 370Z this year. First of all being that the design is super outdated. The 350Z, 370Z has pretty much been almost the exact same car since around 2003. So it looks super outdated, and not only does it look it, it actually is, in the sense that you don't have Bluetooth for your music. I think it's still a USB to connect your phone to your car, and there could also be a potentially new Z car coming out next year or the year after, so buying now might not be the best option. And similar to the BRZ, I don't know if I mentioned this when I was talking about the BRZ, but it is a rear-wheel drive car. So if you live in the Northeast US or anywhere where it snows really, you might not be as comfortable driving your rear-wheel drive car as you would be a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive car. Obviously, once you get the hang of it, it doesn't really matter, but I felt like it needed to be mentioned. And last up on the list, and definitely not the least, because it is always the answer, the Mazda MX-5, or Miata, depending on where you come from. The Miata is fantastic for spirited driving. It is on the lower end of the power spectrum. I believe it's around 160 or 170 horsepower. But you're not really buying a Miata for the power. You're buying it for the handling capabilities that it has. The manual transmission clicks into gear, you know exactly where you are, and you're very comfortable driving it. It's very easy to learn on, very user-friendly, if you will. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about the Miata. Obviously, it is rear-wheel drive, similar to the last two vehicles. It is a convertible. They do have a soft-top and a hard-top version now, though, so there is a little something for everyone, if you will. But my only real complaint, being that it is 2020, is that it doesn't come with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but they do have a pretty good streaming system from Bluetooth. So, you know, I guess we can compromise there. And obviously, guys, there are probably tons of other cars that I have forgotten. So if you guys want to recommend some cars to some viewers, definitely leave a list of the cars that you would buy. You know, there are a ton of options out there, used cars, new cars, and there's a car out there for everybody. So if I didn't mention a car that you were looking at on this list, it's not that I didn't look at it. These were just kind of the ones that I filtered through and felt like would appeal to most people. If you want to see another video of trucks, SUVs, I didn't mention any of those on this list. So if you want to see a video on that, let me know in the comments below. And aside from that, it's been a pleasure. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.